Welcome back. It's 11:04 p.m. and it is time for us to get on the couch. Yes. So if you're listening in for the first time, maybe this is your first Tuesday since I got here, and you're wondering what's going on, right? So let me just give you a bit of an introduction, okay? So on the couch is a therapy session. Basically, we do this every Tuesdays, and what happens is we have certified professionals come in and just help us get off the issues that we have in our mind, whether it's advice you need, whether it's suggestions you need, whatever conversation that you want us to get into that you think would help you be in a better state of mind. Because trust me, I know that a lot of Gen Zs, I know that I have a lot of Gen Zs throwing around the slang of, oh, my mental health, but mental health issues are a whole thing when it comes to living in Nigeria. Let me just say that. Generally, being in the best place your mind can be is like getting you halfway through, right? So we have therapy sessions. You come, you just chill, kick up your feet, and then we have conversations around the things that you want us to help you with, right? We started last week, and I had my guest from last week who's joining me also here in the studio. His name is Coach Mayzy, and so his name is Coach Mayzy, and Coach Mayzy is he's a relationship and life coach, and also he's into counseling. All right, so Coach Mayzy helps us get through some of the issues that we have here. I have said before that if you have other issues that maybe you want us to get into, then you can just send me an email at Somi at nigeriainfo.fm. So you can send in that, and then we see how we can take on whatever it is that is troubling you and trying to help you make sense of it, okay? We're streaming today. Yes, we are streaming live. So you go to Facebook at Nigeria Info Abuja. You can see myself and my guest. And if you go to YouTube, we're also at Nigeria Info Abuja. So I would say a very big welcome to everyone who is watching us, wherever you're watching us around the world. Whether you're in Abuja here, it's good to have you here. So let's just get into the conversation, okay? Like I said, we're talking sex and relationships. And I think that's a huge one. When we started with Coach Mayzy last week, we were looking at one of the key decisions, or one of the key conversations that people try to have when they get into relationships. And Coach Mayzy was talking about people working largely on their feelings. Now, feelings, we talked about that. We sort of went through it, but we know that another huge consideration, call it the world that we are in today, but sex is a big thing as well. So we're going to be letting Coach Mayzy get into the conversation with us this evening. So a very special welcome to you. I know you've had a long day, but thank you for doing this with us, Coach Mayzy. It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. So we started a conversation last week, and I'd like to sort of work through things so that we don't leave anybody halfway, right? And we started talking about key decisions that people take when they're getting into relationships, and you mentioned largely that people work based off their feelings. Let's talk sex. Let's hear how that plays in as well. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, yeah. So, the big deal about feelings is that most times it needs to be gratified or it needs to be expressed. You see, and that's where ultimately sex becomes a part of the conversation. Because
Info Abuja.
What's the big deal if
I would say a very big
I
welcome.
just like you, I just want to be around you, I just want to hold you, but I don't get to do that. Like, so what makes it a concern is what it leads to. All right. And then for many people, like I was explaining last week, once your emotions get tickled, in pidgin English they call it tottery. Once they tottery your emotions, right? All of those hormones start getting secreted that makes you want to enjoy that fondliness with this person, makes you want to spend time with them. And then the thing about those feelings is that they are heading somewhere. They're looking for expression and satisfaction. So many times, until you indulge those feelings, you don't feel like stopping. And that is how many people get into sexual activity in the name of relationship. Okay, there are some people who start their relationship with sex. That's what opens the conversation. It's not like they were discussing for a while, they have been friends for a while, they have been dating officially for a while, and then at some point, for some people, day one is let's get down. Why? Because those feelings have not yet been, as it were, tamed or managed properly. Okay, and while at the moment it presents enjoyment, it presents pleasure, in the immediate term or sometimes medium term and long term, other issues begin to come up. Because at the end of the day, what that sex does is that it's like a blanket. It covers up so many other existing issues, and you don't get to see them at that point because you're just enjoying the emotional gratification. Okay, but then the real issues will still come up. Somebody will still speak to somebody in a way that they don't like. Somebody's bad character will still show up. Somebody's carelessness will still show up. Somebody's disrespect and rudeness will still show up. Somebody's abusive tendencies will still show up. You see, the concern now is when all of that starts showing up, the sex would not be able to provide answer to all of that irritation.
Are you sure, Coach Mayzy? Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
Are you sure? Because people have been known to use it to settle issues.
Are they happy in that relationship? Do you have to fight and then settle? Do you have to? Ultimately, many times, if people really say the truth about some of these things, you know that, you see, the spirit of man, right? Let me explain this. The soul of man seeks meaning, seeks relevance. Many times people keep searching and searching in all manner of places, in all kinds of things, with drugs, with sex, with validation seeking from left, right, center. But ultimately that void is always still there. So if they tell you the truth, they're not really happy in that relationship. It's just momentary, but the issues are still there. And if such people could get help by listening to this kind of program, then they'll begin to identify that, wait, oh yes, something is really wrong here. This is not, it's not working. I know people who have had great sex and still broke up. I know couples who have been married, sex was great, but the relationship did not last, and they're not still married today. All right, so it's beyond that. The real issues still have to be treated. The compatibility issues. You see, it has to be treated. And for those ones, sex does not cover it because you're dealing with it every day in how you relate with life, in how you interpret the situations and the things that are happening around you. You see, those are the real issues you still have to deal with, and the sex does not cover for that.
Okay, Coach Mayzy, we're going to open the phone lines in a little bit, but let me just ask this one question. I hear what you're saying regarding sex and how it's not like a core for a relationship, but what's to say that people don't have great relationships where they have other issues while still having sex, and then everything comes together as a whole package? Is that not a thing? I'm going to ask that question, and while you think about it, let me just call the phone lines because I want people to get in on this, and let them talk to you. Okay, so the number to call if you're listening and you're watching right now is 0700 951 0000. You can also call 080-959 74869 or send in a message on the WhatsApp line or call the WhatsApp line as well on 080-999-30137. I have a caller on the line. Let's take this person and then we'll come back to that question, all right? Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good to have you on the couch with us this evening.
Thank you. My name is King.
Your name is what?
My name is King.
Oh, welcome, King.
Yes, and hello, Coach.
Coach Mayzy, can you hear him?
Good evening, Coach.
No, I think it's really low. I can't hear him very well.
Oh, okay.
Hello?
Okay. Oh, yeah. So,
Can you, I'm saying hello to Coach too.
okay, Coach, he's saying hello to you. I'll see if I can work out the sound, but go ahead, please, King.
Okay. I've been listening to you guys, and to a very large extent, like from last 2 years or thereabout, I was reading a book that like 12 things you need to do before getting into marriage or any serious relationship. And
Okay.
from everything Coach said, it's just exactly what I've read in that book. So you asked him at a point if it is true. Let me just add my voice to it. It's really true because with what I've passed through, what I understand, truly, to have a very healthy relationship, sex should not be the first thing at all. Sex cannot settle anything. Sex cannot be the thing that could make a relationship grow. The truth is that for me, I need to be fond of you. I need to know you. I need to like you irrespective of anything. You need to be just free with this person for you to eventually get down with the person. These things come thereafter. Anything that has to do with sex has to come later. You get it. Yes, it's fun, but to be honest, with one thing I've understand, sex is not the solution to a healthy relationship. So I agree with Coach, and I'll just keep listening and then learn more from him.
All right. Thank you very much, King. Coach Mayzy, I hope you caught the conversation from King.
The latter part of it,
The latter part
wasn't
of it.
quite clear.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard some bit. Thank
Okay,
you
so he
for
was
your
basically agreeing with you and saying that he doesn't also subscribe to the notion that sex should be like the first thing, which brings me back to my question, which that I asked before we took that call, and I said, what is to say that yes, it shouldn't be the first thing, but there are moral conversations around it. Over the years, some of those morals have been eroded clearly. But I'm bringing this up just so that we understand if it really is an issue or not. Now, so the question I'm asking is, it's okay, right, if it's not the first thing, if it's not like the major thing, but can people have relationships, healthy relationships, where they're having sex while taking the other things into consideration and it doesn't become a problem for them down the line? That's the question that I'm asking.
Okay, good question. Yes, there can be those healthy relationships where other things, like you rightly said, are being factored in and the couple are sexually involved. I'm answering this now on a general note. But take note that sex is more than an emotional and physical activity. It's also a spiritual activity. Okay?
Explain that. I've heard people say that, but I don't understand how it's spiritual. Help clear that up for me, please.
Okay, you want me to get into that? I will.
I mean, we're talking sex. We'll talk about it in every aspect. So go ahead.
Yeah, I will reference, as it were, the Bible, the origin, where all of this started, right? I'm a person of faith. So that is one of my reference. The Bible is the center of my reference, among several other materials that I study on, right? Now, why I say it's spiritual is because from the creation of man, the word was spoken forth. The mandate was be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Now, I believe that command, that mandate, is what activated the sexual and reproductive system in the human. Because for you to be fruitful and multiply, then you need to want to have sex. Do you understand? You need to have the mechanism that makes you want to have it, and then when it is right time, okay? But beyond that, sex is what ratifies, as it were, is the final conclusion of the marriage covenant, okay? And so that means that if people are getting married and they don't consummate sexually, that marriage is even said to not yet be finalized, and it can be annulled if one partner denies the other of consummation. Is that serious? Okay. Why is that? Because this is both of you becoming one. That is the particular act that makes both parties become one. So that's why we say it's spiritual. I don't want to go further than that unless you push me further. But that
coach. You don't require pushing. Have you covered the spiritual scope of sex? If you have, fine. If you have not,
I'm actually just introducing.
Oh, that's an introduction. Okay.
Oh yes.
Okay. I will come back to that, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when the Bible again said that man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, that cleaving is the act that makes them become one. All right. And it's that part where you're saying, I am connecting with you deeply, spirit, soul, and body. Okay. So what happens is that in the point of sex, and that's why typically, like we always advocate, should be between married couple. That's the point where they're saying, I am entirely opening up myself, spirit, soul, body, to you, to become one with you. These are dimensions people don't think about. They think more of just a pleasure. But what happens is that at that level of connection, you're saying that I'm taking a part of you and you're taking a part of me, where there's a mingling, there's a deep connection going on. You know, I tease people sometimes when people are talking about spirit husband and spirit wife. And what's really happening is all of those times you're having sex with people, you're illegitimately getting married to them because you're doing something that should be the exclusive reserve of people who are saying we're making a covenant to do life together. All right. So that's the spiritual dimension of it, because at the end of the day, you are opening yourself to everything that is operational in that person's life, and you are participating in whatever it is that they are a part of unknowingly. That's what we mean when we say it's a spiritual activity. Okay. Now that has even made me forget what was the main question.
So the question is, can people be in relationships? Again, the term is relationships because it's sex and relationships. Can people be in relationships where sex is not the primary thing, but then they are having healthy relationships while still having sex? Are there any downsides to that?
I remember where I was going to. So again, when it is advocated that sex should happen in marriage, there is a reason for that. Why? Is because there is a level of emotional maturity that is required to handle the emotions of sex. Oh yes. So what happens is when you expose yourself that deeply to somebody, you start feeling really connected to them. All right. You start expecting a level of loyalty, a level of commitment, faithfulness. All right. You start expecting all of that because you have shared deeply. You guys have connected deeply. Right. Now, when you are not getting that, you get so hurt. It's the kind of hurt that nothing else can really compare with. You see, it is because of managing the emotional consequences that could go wrong that it is important that this thing is happening between two people who are mature of age and are in the confines of marriage.
Okay.
So that, you see, there are no complications per se.
Okay. Coach Mayzy, I hear you. Could you hold? I had a call. I wanted to take that so that you can have a conversation with the listeners as well. But I think I would just ask that they call in again. Okay, so very quickly, the number to call. And I see you. We have people watching from everywhere. I have someone watching from Turkey. I have people watching from outside Abuja. And I just want to tell you that I see you. So if you want to call, please, the number to call is 0700 951 0000. Or 080-959-74869. And if you're watching or listening from outside of the country, it's 080-999-30137. Please call in. We're not here to just talk over your heads. No. We want to know if there are people who are going through this situation, all right? Sex, in your relationship, how's that working for you? We also know that there are people who are in relationships where they're not having sex and they're having issues, right, Coach Mayzy?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Of course.
Okay, so go ahead and finish your thought and then we'll come to that. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So I was saying that yes, it's true that every other thing can be fine, and then these guys are also sexually engaged. But what I'm saying is, what would matter there in that fine that we're talking about, quote, is that both parties are emotionally mature enough to coordinate themselves,
Okay.
their feelings, all right,
Okay.
while they're in that relationship. It's not just the fact that it's not just the sex itself, all right, but it's the fact that these guys are emotionally mature enough to understand the requirements of making a relationship.
Yes, you are. All right, Coach Mayzy, we have a caller. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, good.
All right, go ahead, please. Good evening.
Good evening.
You're on to Nigerian Info. Go ahead.
All right, my name is Daniel. I'm calling
Welcome, Daniel.
from, I like you just said now, some people are not engaging in sex in relationship, but they're having issue. I don't know, this coach, I have an issue with my relationship. I don't know if...
Go ahead. He's here for you.
Okay, all right. Coach, good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
All right. I'm into a relationship, and the relationship is going on now for almost 3 years, and it's just like I'm stuck in it. I'm not just happy in the relationship because it's not giving me peace. And anytime I try coming out of it, it's very difficult because it's just like somebody has said that no, you are going nowhere. Actually, I met this very lady in the church after I was having some relationship issue. I thought finding a woman in the church is everything I'm been praying for. But I would say, I don't know how to describe what I'm into now. And psychologically, I'm down. Spiritually, I'm down. Emotionally, I'm just down because I'm not just happy. I'm going out of it. I'm just thinking of emotion, how she will feel about everything. And it's so difficult for me at the moment because it's just like the relationship you are in, you are not growing. Every growth I've experienced and I've gotten is the one I hid it or hide it away from her.
Wow.
Like if I want to do something and I did not mention it to her, at the end I would do it and come do it successfully. But as far as I mentioned, this is how one talk, one problem from her side, I will start spending the money. I'm not a stingy person, mind you. I'm a giver. That one everybody around me. But I don't know, sometimes I used to ask myself, is this girl in this relationship for money? And I'm not even complaining about the money aspect, but I'm not just happy about what I'm doing because, and sometimes I try coming out, it's so hard. Because even today, when I somehow we're talking, I was she saw me chatting. And you are talking to other women, you're talking to her. So if you see love emoji, it means that I'm talking to other women. She's so telling me she don't want to lose me. I'm too good, But me, within me, I know that I'm in the wrong place.
Okay.
Because nothing just...
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing. One question, though. Are you sexually active in this relationship?
No. It is 3 years we've been dating. I've never had sex with her before. Well, I've never had sex. We have never had sex, but sometimes we just kiss each other, but sex, we have never.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Let Coach Mayzy weigh in on this situation, and then hopefully we can help provide solutions for you. All right. Please keep listening.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Coach
Yeah,
Mayzy, you have the floor.
thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for calling in. It takes a lot of bravery to be able to call in on a show like this and ask for help, and that is very commendable. And typically, it shows that you're someone who is at this point needing help, right? So that's why this show is here, and that's why this is happening right now. So I'll ask a few questions. When you got into this relationship, right? Do you want to share a bit of how you got into it? What was your intent at that time? Were you thinking, was there a purpose, or did you just want somebody around you? But like, what was the intent at the end of the day?
Okay, just go ahead and ask your questions. Coach Mayzy, he will call in. He's not online at the moment, but I'm
I
sure
thought
he will call in
still
to
on
answer.
call.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So why I'm saying that is because many times we want to see the foundation of that relationship. It's important to establish, how certain things started, because to a large extent, whatever you may be going through now in that relationship, we may be able to trace it back to the beginning. All right. And then I'm saying that because there's some people who stumble into relationships, like it something led to something, and before you know, you're calling yourselves my dear and my love, and before you know it, you're an item, because you hang around a lot together. People see you walk around together, you do things together. Somehow you just become a thing. But ideally it has to be something deliberate. Now, so what I'm saying all of this is just to check the foundations. All right. And I know you're listening. So maybe when you call in, you can tell us something about how it all started. But then, are you sure that all of these these things that you say are going wrong in your life right now are necessarily connected to that relationship? Or are there other areas of your life that we also need to pay attention to, that could be responsible for certain things not working? Because if I heard you clearly, you said something like the only things that seem to work are the things that you tend to hide from this lady. So it's like every other thing she's involved in is just goes down the drain. Okay, so let's look into it some more. Are you saying that all of these things happening negatively are because she's involved with you?
That's what he said.
Okay. Oh, he said that. Okay,
yes,
good.
He did.
So, you see, the same way you were able to get into a relationship is the same way that one should be able to take a decision where the purpose of that relationship is not being achieved, or where it's going in a direction that he doesn't like. So I should ask you, ultimately, what do you want? Do you want to stay there and hope that things shall work out and become good? Or are you saying, I want to get a grip on my life right now and I want to know the way out? There was a point where it wasn't clear. So I don't know if he said something like he was trying to leave and it wasn't working.
Yeah, so he said that he had tried to leave a few times. When he did that, he was always going back to considering her. A few times when he tried, she would tell him, you are the best person for me and all of that. And so he wants to leave, but then he keeps considering how she feels or how she will feel about it, and he just sort of stays back.
Okay. In truth, right? You need to be honest with yourself. If this thing is not working, you need to fix yourself first, more than you're thinking of how should we feel. Because ultimately, many people stay in abusive relationships because they are thinking of the other person. How will they feel? But what you want to say to yourself is, do you want to make progress? Do you identify that this is the reason things are not working for you right now? And if you say yes, then you owe it to yourself to make progress. And if making progress right now means making the hard decisions, then what you need to do is call her for a conversation, let her know that you think you guys may need to go separate ways, just to give you time to reflect and get things right, but right now it is not working. Perhaps if you guys are able to talk things through, you may be able to identify why it's not working, you see, and then she may be willing to make amends when necessary.
All right, Coach Mayzy.
Grab what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you guys need to talk things through.
Okay.
And then if it's not working, you have to ultimately take a decision. You need courage to take that decision, bro. Because you need to save your life and you need to make progress.
All right, Coach Mayzy.
I don't know if that speaks to it, but you can ask more if you need to.
Okay. I'm sure he's still listening, and we're going to get a few more contributions to that conversation. I just want to go back to that aspect where he said they're not having sex and they're having these kind of issues. And I heard you say something about if one is in an abusive relationship, they need to be able to find the courage to make the decision to get out of it. So 2 questions for you, Coach Mayzy. Did you just term this relationship between this caller and his woman as an abusive relationship? Given everything that you've heard, would you say that this is an abusive relationship, 1? And 2, typically, when there are relationships where there's some sort of manipulation going on, and I say that because having heard what he said, there's a way someone can understand you and know who you are as a person and know how to work around your emotions. And I say that because he has said that he has tried to leave her before. And when she starts to say things like, I can't find any other one, you're the right person for me, he sort of gives in and stays there. So 2 things. Is this a manipulative relationship? And then secondly, the fact that they're not having sex, how can one be manipulated so thoroughly when they're not having sex? If you could just hold that thought, let me take this caller and then we'll come back to your answer. All right, hello?
Yeah, I still cover. See, he was asking some question about what was the purpose of the relationship.
Okay, did you call back?
Yes, I
Okay.
call back.
All right, great, go ahead.
And honestly, yeah, the main purpose of me then going closer to her or wanting her was I was thinking of marriage. But the truth is that I'm just afraid about everything because I'm just afraid. And that other side is where I was where I say that anything I heard from her, not issue of anything I want to do today. As far as I told her that I want to do this thing today, this how she will start making requests. Before you know, I will not end up doing it because I don't know. I just wish somebody knows me. I'm not a stingy person, and I will never be. I know who I'm at. But this kind of this girl I'm telling you works with the government. But it's like I pay her a month more than the government. I'm just tired. Sometimes I used to feel, is it the money or is it that she truly loves me? And let me tell you, she took me to one prayer house like that because by then, like 2 years back, I was facing some challenges in my business. So she said, let's go and see one woman. Well, wait. When the woman said me, she said, this girl, she's the one that brought you. I said, yeah. She said, no, you guys will not fit each other. That she sees a lot of problems ahead. Even though when we came, I told her that, look at what this woman said, let's just part away. She was like, no, forget all those prayer house. God is the one. Let's pray everything. But the truth is that I'm just, about her emotion is what is really, really, really troubled me at the moment. I'm age. I want to get married, but sometimes when I want to think of her, that, okay, let me settle with her, I'm just scared. And, okay, even today, as I told you earlier, she saw a chat that I was chatting with a friend. She was angry. I'm chatting with other women. I'm chatting with her. This time she just hot-tempered kind of person, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm in a very difficult situation at the moment.
Okay. All right, then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. All right, Coach Mayzy. I hope you caught everything he
Oh
said.
yeah, you see, yeah. I mean, thank God he provided more clarity because typically it's from the questions that we're able to know what to say next. And I'm glad that he was able to explain that. Yeah, he intended to get married, but howbeit, when he talks about something he wants to do next, she comes up with some of these requests and demands, and he talks about how he's taking care of her subsistence. It's good that there's more context to it and how things are not working, right? You see, there's something foundational we tell people, and which is that um, before you get into a relationship with someone, there is a lot of things you need to check. There are conversations you need to have. You want to check their value system. You want to check that you guys are compatible, I beg your pardon, in areas that are important to you and the things that form your core beliefs about life, about marriage, and about everything important to you. Your faith, spirituality, purpose, achievement, success. Now, what I'm seeing here is that the person you're in a relationship with, besides the billings part of it, he also talked about her, accusing you of talking to other girls and stuff like that. There's a lot that has gone down from her upbringing. I don't know how much you know about what she's been through before she got into a relationship with you. And this is one area that in your conversation, pre-relationship, you are able to, check people's upbringing. I said something last week about how your upbringing, your environment, the experiences in your life all have an impact, a very important, a very, very significant impact in your life and in your relationship. All right. So what I see here is that there is a lot that this lady needs to deal with. All right. You may not be able to handle it if you're not equipped for that. But one of the first things to do is for you guys to talk to us, come see a therapist. All right. And I'm talking about something beyond a radio conversation, because there's a lot more. A typical session alone might be an hour or two. Do you understand? And we may not be able to cover all of that in this radio session. But what I'll encourage you to do right there where you are, look for a professional. All right. Look for a therapist, a marriage counselor, a relationship coach, and then go together with the lady. You guys go for sessions. Those sessions will help you put clarity to what you're going through right now. And it will empower you to make the next line of decision based on the guidance you would receive from that coach. The reason I'm not going to necessarily start dishing out certain things here is because we'll still need to probe further. I need to ask more questions about you, about her. Okay, but from the things you have said, there are definitely issues that need to be resolved from our belief systems. Okay, so when a lady is typically looking over her shoulders, all the time, concerned, who are you talking to? Who's that person? What's going on there? That's insecurity. All right, and there are things that could be responsible for this. Perhaps her previous relationships have all been with people who cheated on her time and time again. You see, so right now she's on the alert. She wants to know, who is that other lady invading my space? These are all things that in themselves, you may not blame the person, okay? Because all of these things are the result of conditioning and experiences that they have gone through. The good news is that everyone can be helped if they want to help, if they want to receive help. So that is why I recommended that both of you look for a therapist around you guys where you can open up more on the issues and then seek counsel and seek help. But like I said, ultimately, if it looks like after all said and done, it ain't working, bro, it's still a relationship, it's not marriage. If you need to pull the plug to save your life, it's something that you should think about.
So the thing about Coach Mayzy, remember I had two questions for you that you're going to have to touch on. I talked about whether you sense that this is an abusive relationship, and then secondly, how can you have this much unhappiness and if I dare use the term manipulation in a relationship where they're not even having sex, right? Those are the two questions.
Oh, yes.
Those are the two questions I asked. So you need to answer that.
Okay, let me speak to them. Is
Okay,
that
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yes, what are the signs of abusiveness in a relationship? And this is a very good question because many times people don't know. Okay, one of the very fundamental signs is a relationship where one party is unable to clearly and freely express themselves because of how they think the other partner would feel. It's a clear case that one person there is being abused. One person is being manipulated. Okay, that's a very fundamental one. Another one is where there is a fear, a literal fear that if I say this or do this, this person will take it out on me or take it out on themselves. That again is abusive. Another mark of abuse is where there is control. One person always wants their way, not flexible, to accommodate the thoughts and intents of the other person, but it has to be my way or the highway. If it's not my way, then something is wrong, then you're not doing this. That is abuse. Another mark of abuse is where one party is trying to get you to do things that you really don't want to do just because they want it and they don't care how you feel so long as it makes them happy. That again is abuse. You see? So it goes on and on. All right? Sometimes they try to make the relationship all about themselves. There are certain things you want that are important to you, but they tell you, no, it's not that important, it's not good, you don't need that. What you need is this other thing, and they take you away from all the things that are important to you just so that you can serve their own purposes. That is abuse. That is manipulation. All right? In some cases, they sever you off every other important person in your life, up to your family members. So for some reason, you should stop talking to that your sister who's very close to you. You should stop talking to that your brother. You should stop talking to that close friend. In fact, I don't like this one. They don't mind cooking up stories and telling you lies about these people so that you start hating on them. And, the idea is just to isolate you from everyone who can help you. And then you are stuck with them. Only them supply your validation. Only them supply your sense of importance. And then they control you. And then they have you right where they want you per time. So yeah, that speaks to the question on abuse. Is that good enough for you, or should I go ahead on that?
You went ahead to explain what abuse is, but you didn't tell me if by your discernment you think this is an abusive relationship.
Well, you're asking if this particular case is an abusive one.
Yes. Do you think this is an abusive? Because you made a certain statement, which is why I jumped on that and said, okay, from what you have heard, is this an abusive relationship? And then secondly, let's speak to, answer that first. Let me not get ahead of myself. From everything you have heard, is this an abusive relationship?
From what I've heard, right, there are elements of abuse there because what I see is one person wanting their own intent to be served. All right? It's emotional abuse. Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's emotional abuse, yeah.
Okay. So secondly, they said, or rather the caller said that they're not having sex. And, the conversation, when we started was sex and relationships, the impacts that they have. Yeah. And we're looking at the possibility of healthy relationships with sex. Typically, just going by some of the things you said, one is likely to lean towards maybe trying not to have sex in a relationship. And then we have a conversation here of somebody who is going through this much and he's so unhappy. You can hear it in his voice and you can hear that he's at a crossroads and they're not even having sex. What do you make of that?
Yeah. Okay. So let me say here that sex is not the sole and foundational reason for problems in a relationship.
Aha. Okay.
Right? Oh no, it's not. You could be abstaining, but sex is not what entirely speaks to several areas like tolerance, like temperament, compatibility. All right? Mm-hmm. So those are other things that even though you're not sexually involved, but can you guys connect on the same mental frequency? You don't need sex for that. Do you guys believe the same things about life, about marriage, about success, about money, about career, about next level, about whatever it is that is important to you guys? You don't need sex for that. So it is possible, that's just what I'm trying to establish, that even in a sexless relationship, there can still be issues. And you see, this also goes to show you that sex or no sex, there are critical fundamental matters that you must deal with before you're thinking relationship. Last week, I mentioned one of them, self-awareness. Who are you? What do you know about yourself? Because trust me, with a healthy sense of self, you would quickly and easily identify the kind of people you don't want around you. You will see it beforehand. You will see the qualities, you will see the signs, you will see the red flags, and you will know that this person is not good for my journey. You don't need sex for self-awareness. Do you understand? So I'm just establishing that it is possible to not be sexually involved in your relationship, yet there are a whole lot of other issues that you have to deal with. All right?
Okay. All right. So let's come back to our caller, because I mean, just hearing how he sounds is heartbreaking, because you can see that he's torn, right? And some people will say, okay, kudos to him even for still considering the person. It's easy for some people to walk away, easier for some more than others, right? And, you then start to think, okay, perhaps he really, really loves her, and that's why he's still considering her and all of that. And I hear you say, look for therapy. Look for a therapist and try and have these sessions. But we've been able to establish that there's some form of emotional abuse going on here. So let me just ask my next question, and then we will take a caller. Or let me take a caller, and I'll ask my next question. Okay.
All right, let's take the caller.
All right.
Ready, yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, hello? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello? Okay, good evening. Yes, and...
I think it's the same caller.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I just want to chip in a little about the caller.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like the question you asked, Coach, is this a complete abusive relationship? Because I heard the caller said that whenever something good is coming to his hand, or when he has to do something and it's like telling her, then she will be demanding and demanding and demanding. So that is affecting the caller mentally.
Yeah.
I heard him say that it's not that kind of Indian person. But I want to also ask him, because sometimes maturity is one of the factors, one of the things that is bringing this thing. Just like Coach said, sex is not what should be esteemed, because we cannot say maybe it's because, but as the caller demand for sex from her before, let him give us that question, because this cannot only be because of phone. It's something that the caller will be around, and the woman in question also be around, so that the two will listen to them both. Hello?
All right, yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. So, because now the way he's sounding, he's tired of everything, but he cannot let go of it. So why is he not going if he's tired? Because I heard him saying that he's not happy, that he is bitter.
Okay.
But he cannot let her go. All right.
All right, thank you. All right, Coach. You heard that.
He posed a question to the caller. So
yes, as a matter of fact, it was something along the lines of the question I was going to ask you, because I heard you recommending therapy, but having established that there's some form of emotional abuse, what really is the issue here as to why he can't let her go? And in this case, should he be encouraged to still try and make things work, or should he just leave?
Okay, so you see, sometimes the problem is not necessarily solved by a breakup. Oh, yes. He could break up with her today and get into a relationship with another person like her in another skin.
I see.
Oh, yes. So you see, one of the first things people need for relationship healing and empowerment is knowledge. because on your own, you will not read book, you will not attend seminar, you will not you will not necessarily inform yourself on matters of love and relationship and marriage. People just generally believe they know what to do and they know what they are doing. But because you will not do all that, then please take time out to speak with a professional so that you would even identify what the foundational issues are, not only with her, but also with you. Why, of all the people in the world to choose, why was it this one you went for? Is there something that is also responsible for acting as a magnet of this kind of person to you? The therapist will also help you x-ray other relationships in your life. And we may even discover that this kind of behavior might not be the only one there is. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
To some extent,
ultimately,
yes.
It's not just about just walk away. Just walk away. No, you need empowerment. You need knowledge. And that is where the therapist will be able to walk you through areas that you cannot even get into by yourself.
Okay.
They'll walk you through by questions, by interventions, and then you'll be in a better place to take a decision.
All right, Coach
What
Mayzy.
if... Should I stop there?
Yeah, we have a caller. Let's just take this and then you can
Okay,
continue.
let's take the call.
Hello.
Please.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Coach. You are talking very well. Yeah, Donato from Nigeria. Coach, I just want to ask a question. When you what the young man have just said, you understand? Is it good in a relationship for you to cross?
Sorry, sir. Sorry. Can you move a bit away from your phone? We can hear you, but we can't make out what you're saying.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Is it good for you to cross and personalize or see somebody that cannot cross and is true for you in a relationship? Because I've listened to a young man say each time that he has something to do with it, come up with the you understand, and the mind. For me, I don't think, I know, because you don't want to say directly, you understand, for professional. For me, I can never cross an ocean for someone that can never cross a stream for me. I don't do that. I will run, I'm telling you. So, Coach, I don't know if I thought it's good for somebody to cross and for someone that cannot cross a smooth drainage for somebody in a relationship. Is it good, Coach? Please answer me, sir.
Okay. Let me try and see if I could make sense of what he said. I think it has something to do with a mutually beneficial relationship. Please correct me if I'm not quite sure that I got all of what you said, but from the little that I got, it had something to do with you can never cause, was it issues? I'm so sorry. You can never... See, Coach, let me speak the English that I know how to speak.
You know, I didn't hear what you
said.
said.
I know. I could tell. I could tell because there was a bit of a distortion, which is why I even turned down the volume in the studio here so that maybe I could also hear and then translate it to you. But it had to do with, the fact that when it's not a mutually beneficial relationship, what is the point? I'm just going to, summarize as best as I can. What is the point? That's what I got from that.
So yes, that's a very valid question. The way a coach or counselor would respond to you may be somewhat different. I mean, like I said to you before, it's not just about get out of the relationship. Get out and then what next? Break up with her and then what about her? Do you understand? She goes on to the next person, the same behavior continues. He may need to also let her go first and then go still see a therapist, right? But what is key is that there must be conversations with a professional so that he can be guided on next steps.
Okay. It's a great thing we have you.
That's very fundamental.
It's a great thing we have you as our professional here. At least we'll start from here. And then, if it requires more extensive conversation, we can take that up. We need to go on a break in a little bit, and then we'll come back to the conversation and wrap it up. But
That's right.
yeah, but from what we've gathered, just a brief summary, what I've heard you say is sex should not be considered as a major thing. If there are healthy relationships where sex is involved, it requires a certain level of maturity. However, there are more key conversations that need to be had that have absolutely nothing to do with or without sex in relationships, that are the major determinants in a relationship. I'm just paraphrasing. I hope I sort of covered the conversation so far.
That's okay.
Okay. All right. So we need to go on a quick break. And then when we come back, we will be doing more of taking your calls and getting contributions so far on the topic at hand. It's sex and relationships. And we got a case study of someone who is in a sexless relationship and is still having issues. And we're trying to figure out ways to handle it. All right. Stay with 95.1 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
This is Nigeria Info.